Hello, I'm going to do a double critique. Good job on the gradient there. All right, those grapes look really promising. I love the watermark. Um, I like the highlights. I would move the hot highlight away from the edge. It always makes things look a little flat, but this one is beautiful. The banana needs some work. I think if you're going to use gradient mesh, you have to be very slow and careful. I think the gradient on the apple looks really good too. I think too, though, I would consider, I wouldn't put a gradient on the leaf. If you wanted to make a super realistic leaf, then, it wouldn't have a grayscale gradient on it. I think that detracts from the beautiful grapes. So consider too putting a leaf on the apple. I think a touch of green would really help to punch up the color on this, because this red and blue sort of seem like the same hue. So if you had a touch, like a nice big leaf that was a bright pop of color, I think it would bring this ad alive. So it's a good start. I really love that you added the water droplets. It's a beautiful touch. Okay, so Isis. Okay, so your banana looks pretty good. I can tell you used gradient mesh there. I like that you added some spots. I would probably get the anchor point tool and make sure that you don't have any of these corners, because bananas are super smooth. And then I would bring the gradient all the way to the edge, because the way it's sort of flat here catches the eye. I would try a technique of using Gaussian blur on these highlights. Because they have their own gradient, they kind of look like a teeny tiny grape on top of a big grape. Let me show you how to do that in a second. And then the same would be applied to the apple. So you've got to consider like the mother, son. So all of the highlights on the fruit would be this in the same direction. So let me show you. Actually, I was talking to Delta with the same methods. So one thing you can do, so this is your gradient on your apple. You can see I played around with the gradient tool. I moved the highlight all over the place. One thing that's important to point out is if you put a highlight right on the edge, it flattens it. So you want to move it in a little bit. You want to create a true dark and then light atmosphere. So let's say you made a highlight and it's so hot on there it doesn't work, you don't like it, and no matter what you do, you can't make it look right. So what you do is you just make a shape. This is all I did, is I made a simple white shape that's going to be a nice highlight. You don't leave it like that, obviously, and you go to Effect, Blur. I like to use Gaussian blur. I'm just used to that. Probably doesn't matter. You can see a preview, so it made it kind of small and like not quite as hot as I want. So adjust that. I hit OK. I still don't like that. I want to put it more in the middle. Oh, so actually I do like that quite a bit. It does look like a nice sphere that I could just grab. But from there maybe you want to make the gradient, the blur a little bit bigger. So maybe I like that size, but it's too big. It's starting to look like a rubber ball. So then I go up to opacity, reduce that a bit, and make it softer, softer, softer. So anyway, all that said, let me see where your piece went. Okay. I think you could use a little adjusting on the apple and the grapes. Okay, it's a good start. I would also, this font is Harrington, right? I think it comes on everybody's computers. Consider going to a free font site. Set yourself apart from your uncle who could pick Harrington and put it on a Word document. So if you want something that's scripted, maybe handwritten looking, you can go in here. These are all free. They're really easy to use. You just click download. When you open it, if you just double click on the file, If you're on a Mac, it probably works the same as a PC. Just hit install font, you close your Illustrator program, you open it again, and it shows up. The other nice thing about this site is you can test and see the font in the exact wording that you wanted. And then you can just bop around the page, see whatever you want, see how that looks. Sometimes it doesn't show up, sometimes it does. Anyway, you get the idea. Let me know if you have any questions.